Again with Taylor Beebe. This is our third session?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yes. All right. What's going on? What do I need to be doing? What am I not doing? What am I doing?
I think that's a really interesting kind of way to open things up, especially in the coaching sphere. And I see it on the training and nutrition side. And it kind of falls into the black and white thinking, but like people want to know what they're doing wrong and what they're doing right. When, we don't necessarily want to look at it that way. We want to take, we do want to take behaviors that you're doing well and then build on that. But it's never about like, come to this moment where it's like, oh, well, you did these things wrong and you need to fix it. It's like, okay, what were the barriers that you encountered this week in terms of like goals that we set the week before, and how can we remove them, or how can we better strategize towards them? So it's never about like doing things right or wrong. It's about like, okay, build on what we're already doing well.
Not you trying to change my worldview, Taylor.
And it's so common too, though, right? Like I'm not trying to fault you for that, but I think that's very, very common. People kind of approach it in that way, that like, and that goes back to like maybe why someone isn't tracking, because they don't want me to see that they went over on their calories, or that they ate out every single day, even though we talked about not doing that. So, because there's usually a deeper reason behind one, maybe why they're ashamed of that behavior, or why is that the behavior that we're falling back on? Why is that our path of least resistance? And again, how can we remove the barriers so the decision that you're going to make is more suited towards goals?
And I think it's also just, we're so used to a black and white thinking, like even me, right? Where I was like, okay, on this day you went, like you didn't hit the thing. And that means like, not that I felt like, oh, I failed, but I'm just like, okay, you need to do better tomorrow. And I had this moment during the week where I'm like, when I was editing actually the first video, and you had said something, and then you were like, if you're hungry, and I'm like, oh, I haven't been asking myself, are you hungry? I've been asking myself, am I hitting the numbers? Which are not the same thing, because then there were moments where I'm like, I'm actually not hungry. I don't think she would want me to force myself to hit this number when I'm not actually hungry at the moment. And that was kind of the thing that I was like, okay, I need to talk to Taylor about, where obviously I want to nourish my body as much as it needs to be. And these numbers are like a way of me seeing that. But there are these times where I realize that previously I've been like, well, it's dinner time, you should eat dinner. As opposed to like, are you hungry for dinner? Are you feeling the idea of eating dinner right now? Like, what does that look like? And then I don't know, guilt's the right word, but I think the shame, maybe guilt that comes from then being like, oh, see, the scale's not reflecting what you wanted to reflect because you weren't doing what you were supposed to be doing in whatever way, shape, or form. So I guess my question to you or like my lesson of the week is just like, if I'm not feeling hungry, but I'm also far away from the protein goal or the caloric goal, like, is that okay to just be like, I'm not hungry, so I'm not eating, so I'm not going to hit that marker?
So I think if we're assessing at the end of the day, the better strategy would be to look earlier in the day. So I think a really important concept to understand on both the training and nutritional side, the idea of listening to our body.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of our satiety cues or even our hunger cues, are we in tune enough with our body to understand, to your point, am I hungry or am I not? So the reason why I say going and looking earlier in the day is, like, in over broad terms, like if we are in fight or flight, aka in a stressed state, our hunger hormones will be suppressed. So if we're waking up and we're stressed, or if we're encountering a lot of stress throughout the day, our hunger hormones are not going to be on. We're not going to get the signal that we're hungry, because we are, after all, an animal that is really, really good at keeping ourselves alive. So if I am being hunted and I am an animal, the last thing I'm going to do is probably stop and eat, right?
Yeah.
can you recognize not only when you're hungry, but when you're in a stressed state and you're not hungry because you're in a stressed state?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a really important piece of listening to your body that I think gets missed in the nuance, because maybe the reason why we're not hungry earlier in the day, like why we're skipping breakfast or why, for whatever reason, we're skipping a meal. Is it because we are so engrossed or so stressed by whatever the circumstances that we're in that we're not even able to recognize that we're not hungry?
Yeah.
Why we're not hungry.
Yes, that makes sense. I mean, I think I'm always operating at a pretty good level of stress, but now trying to have more protein at breakfast, I'm finding myself satiated for much longer, almost that I'm getting to like 1 o'clock or later. And that's when I'll get hungry. And because I eat then, it then pushes off me what would have been dinner earlier to me being like, I'm not really hungry. I could have like a snack and be fine. But I also recognize that I just had 2 meals and a snack and not 3. And I was like, is that good, bad, wrong? Like you said,
So I think zooming out a little bit.
Yeah.
So one, caffeine, if you feel like you need it, is an appetite suppressant, right?
Oh.
So if we're consuming a lot of caffeine, we're probably not going to be as hungry. So the people that wake up and maybe pound some coffee and then wonder why they're not hungry, and then that's not like, I'm not saying like you're going to spike your cortisol and that sort of thing. I'm just saying, let's put the pieces together. I wake up, the first thing I have is coffee, whether it's on an empty stomach or not. That caffeine is going to act as an appetite suppressant. So we're probably not going to be hungry for longer. So maybe even if we have a mid-afternoon coffee, our hunger is going to be pushed off a little bit longer. So that's how we start to like put the pieces together. Like, oh, and then zooming out even further, do I feel like I need caffeine because I don't have energy? What actually gives me energy as opposed to what gives me the feeling of not being tired? Caffeine gives you the feeling of not being tired because of the neural receptors that get blocked in the brain when you have caffeine. That's why we experience crash sometimes after we ingest a large amount of caffeine, because all those receptors open back up and then we feel tired.
Okay.
Whereas if we were to eat something, probably something with carbs, we would actually be fueling our body. We would actually feel more energy, as opposed to turning to the energy drink or the coffee.
And there's my vanilla latte from this morning.
Again, like none of these things are bad, but we just want to create awareness around like what our habits are. Like, are you slamming an energy drink first thing in the morning, around lunchtime, and in the afternoon? Like, oh, okay, well maybe let's fuel our bodies a little bit more. And then do we find we actually don't need the energy drink and we have more energy and our workouts feel better? So it's that cascading effect of like, let's change some of the variables, see how we feel, because that is very important, like going back to being in tune with your body. And maybe that's what I needed. Maybe it wasn't the caffeine. And again, not that caffeine is good or bad. I love a Celsius, like don't get me wrong. But do I rely on it? Like, do I need it?
Yes. Okay. I don't, that's not the way I feel about coffee. It's almost like for me, I just like, I'm someone who could drink a cup of coffee and then go to sleep. Like it doesn't keep me up. I would say it just brings me to like my base as opposed to like spiking me up.
Sure. Yeah.
And, but I will try to be like much more cognizant of what's
Think
going
about
on.
the timing. Yeah. So maybe we eat before we have our coffee. So we're able to get some fuel in our bodies before we drink our coffee. Mm-hmm. If it works out for you and your current schedule and lifestyle.
Yeah.
But I think that's something worth exploring.
Yeah, I guess just generally, even doing that, if it's still like, let's say I eat, but I still have that satiated feeling, is it okay to be like, I'm just going to have a little snack. I'm not having a full dinner because I'm not hungry.
Yeah, I would say definitely tune into how you're feeling. But what I would say is that maybe we need to rev our metabolism by getting a little bit more movement.
Okay.
So taking up our step count or adding some cardio can also help us maybe feel a little bit hungrier. So maybe if we try moving a little bit more, then our appetite will increase. I'm not necessarily talking, I mean, strength training does help, but more on like the cardio aerobic side of the equation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's right now it's a little harder for me with that because of PT. Like I can't like run,
Well, what about just like walking more? So where, if you have an iPhone, if you're looking at where your steps are averaging per day,
Mm-hmm.
are you able to pull that up? If you go into the health app, I'd
Let
love
us
to
see.
see where your steps are at. Really, really low hanging fruit for a big chunk of my clients is that they just don't move enough throughout the day.
Oh,
So
I definitely move a lot throughout the day.
but if we can add a 5 or 10 minute walk here or there, that's going to add up to increasing how many calories we're burning per day.
My average count is 1945.
Oh, okay. So you do, yeah, you move around, which is surprising because you're a Californian. So I feel like we drive everywhere.
Yes. Wait, it's surprising as in you think that's a lot? Isn't it? Aren't I supposed to be doing like 10,000 or something?
Wait, did you say 1900 or 19,000?
1900.
Oh, yeah, no, that's very, very low. So that's what I'm
I was
saying
like,
about.
why is Taylor okay with this number?
That is very low hanging fruit. If you
Yeah.
can integrate a little bit more movement throughout the day, and I'm saying even like park further away, take the stairs in your building, that sort of thing, even increasing that number to maybe be around like 5,000 to 6,000 steps per day, which would be probably about like a mile of cumulative walking. That right there helps with your energy balance.
Okay.
So we're expending more calories, or we want to expend more calories than what we're taking in if we are trying to pursue fat loss.
Okay.
And that's another way to play with that equation.
Okay, I will do that. And even is that it, like maybe at the end of a workout, I'm like, okay, I'm doing a mile walk.
Yeah, or just like throughout the day, like you'd be surprised if you can add like little bits of like little things, because I think that when we look at something like that, oh, I need to walk a mile at the end of my workout, like what if your workout takes longer than you thought, or what if you can't get a treadmill?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we're a little bit better suited to like integrate it into our routine, so it's not something we have to think about or something that's hanging over our head at the end of the day. Walking pads can also be really helpful for that if you find yourself stuck at home or with inclement weather, but I think it's easier to just piece it out and maybe say get like 500 extra steps wherever you're going, depending on how many places you go throughout the day. Like it's pretty easy to get just a few hundred extra steps and then have that add up over the course of the day, rather than like just sectioning it off in that way of like, well, I need to get this much movement.
Yeah, I mean that's for me, but if you need anything.
No, so I was looking at your data across the past week. So we always want to set attainable goals, right? So it's looking like over the past 2 weeks, you had about 2 days where you were hitting the macros and protein. So I'm going to say going into the next week, if you're able to get the shakes, try to go for 3 to 4 days of hitting those macros and tuning into how you feel, and especially during your workouts. And or if we can get some more weight data, so just weighing yourself a little bit more regularly if that's something you're comfortable with. Because
I put it in every day in the MyFitnessPal, but is there? Am I supposed to put it to the?
I don't. Yeah, I don't think it's syncing with that for whatever reason.
Okay.
We want to see those fluctuations, right? Because our weight sits within a range, and we want to be able to see that. And or if there is a spike, if I look back in your diary and see like, oh, this makes sense because you did X, Y, or Z the day before. We just want to make sure all the data is matching up. And there's nothing anomalous.
Yeah, I didn't know. I can also put it in because I've been doing it every day just on the MyFitnessPal. I didn't realize it wasn't.
Oh yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah, if you're able to get it into Trainerize, then that is helpful. Yeah.
Okay.
Have you noticed it trending a certain way, or is it kind of staying the same?
It's weird, like because I've started at 149, I've gone down to like 147.5, and then shot up to 151, and I'm like, I don't understand what's happening.
Anywhere from 5 to 10 pounds is a normal fluctuation, which I think is good.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's also bad, right? Because you get the people who intermittently weigh themselves and then they think that they've lost that 5 pounds when really they're still within their normal range.
Okay.
So that's why we want to get more data points over a longer period of time to actually see the trend.
Okay. Yeah. But I mean, it's been within that, I guess, 4-pound range.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great.
Okay. Yeah. And I did, this is my second week with Sam. So we've done 3 workouts, and then, we're lifting heavier. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, I think I was just concerned that I was like, am I doing something wrong because I'm not feeling hungry? And if I'm not hungry, I don't think she would want me to eat. So I'm gonna
no, absolutely. But then it's worth exploring, like, okay, maybe why am I not hungry around that time?
Right.
Like, are there other contributing factors? And then we can address that. And if there aren't, there aren't. And if there are, then obviously that's something that we can make an adjustment on.
Yes. And I think also, kind of touching back on the subject we talked about last week, I've been getting less sleep. Like, I've just been so busy that I'm so tired that part of me is like, there would be moments where I'm like, you are hungry, but I'm also so tired. I'd rather be asleep than eat. Like, and I'm like, I don't know what the right thing to do is.
So I think there is a good kind of bringing it back to the path of least resistance. Mm-hmm. So what is something that you would want to eat, or something that is easy for you to eat when you're in those circumstances, and can you make that readily available to yourself?
And then our topic for this week is body positivity. Are you there? Normal bodies, positivity and neutrality, and how we can achieve it. So I kind of want to ask, what I think I'm seeing, and you can tell me if you're seeing something different, is just this movement away from body positivity, which I think rightfully has its critics, and a move from body neutrality, which is, I'm like defining these terms with like body positivity being like everybody, no matter size, whatever, we're going to be super positive about it, as opposed to body neutrality, which is just like, this is the body in which I live, and it does what it needs to do for me, and I am neutral about it. We're not calling it good. We're not calling it bad. We're just living in it. And that's what we all do as human beings. We live within these bodies. And a movement from that, which I would say like the late, 2010s was huge. We saw this explosion of, expanded sizes and ranges and models. And I was like, oh, I'm now seeing ads that look like the people I see every day. That's wonderful. So now this pendulum swing that almost makes me feel like I'm back in like high school. And it's just like ultra thin, heroin chic, kind of being back. And I'm curious as to your thoughts of what you feel like you're seeing, but also like, is body positivity good? Is body neutrality better? Is it neither? Like, what are you seeing in front of you with clients and just like out in the world?
I think that there is a conflation between a smaller body and being healthy, because you can be unhealthy in a smaller body. And the pursuit of that might also be at the expense of not only physical health, but mental health as well. So understanding that what your perception of your ideal body might be, especially in terms of scaling. I think that's really where it gets conflated, is people identify with a number as opposed to their actual health.
Right.
I want to weigh what I did in high school, or I want to weigh a certain amount because I think that's where I'll be my happiest and I'll look my best. And for one, that just might not be achievable with their lifestyle, how it is now as compared to when you were an 18-year-old child with very few stressors.
Yeah, and a high metabolism.
But which, I think we need a little bit of that reality check. I think there's also a lot interwoven with the prominence of AI now. Like, we kind of don't know what a normal body looks like, or our perception of what a normal body looks like has been very skewed, not only with AI, but with, the entertainment industry. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
So there is immense pressure to, I think, look aesthetically a certain way, especially when you're a woman. And it's rooted in a lot of fat phobia and, I would also say patriarchal views of, if you are a woman in society, you will have more value if you are frail and small.
Right.
So I think there's a lot to unpack there in regards to just being a woman and existing in a body. And not all of it is just, rooted in, I want to be skinny. Like it goes a lot deeper than that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you where there's, we've assigned cultural capital to thinness. And what you're able to do and how you're valued as a woman is very much tied to our bodies, whether it's like, oh, you're pretty or you're thin and you're pretty or you're this and you're that. And so, who doesn't want to be valued in their society, regardless of whether or not those should be the values of a society. And therefore, I think we had that standard, yes, but then we had body positivity and body neutrality come into play. And I almost feel like, there's a backlash. There's always a backlash to everything. There's been backlashes to waves of feminism and things like that. Mm-hmm. But this idea that like the women were too happy.
Right. Yeah.
The women were embracing themselves for who they are and how they feel. And like you said, I also kind of picture it as if you're frail, you can't fight. If you're frail, you can't run. If you're frail, you can't.
If you're fixated on all these things that they tell you to fixate on.
Yeah, you're not
the pursuit of that thinner body. Like you're not going to pay attention to all the other stuff that's going on over here because you're so singularly focused on that.
Right. Yeah, and doing that, and like you said, it's like you can be thin and not healthy, and then I'm thinking, bone density, strength, like all of those other things, like you said, your hormones, their ability to respond to certain things, and
I think mental health wise too.
Yeah.
When you are in a caloric deficit, you are in a state of stress. You are putting your body in a state of stress. So to add that on top of whatever your normal, regular, everyday life stressors are, you're not in an optimal situation.
Yeah. And I don't want to ignore, and that's why I called, the whole thing Escape the Matrix, because we can know this and still find ourselves so affected by it and be like, yes, totally know that. Still really would love to be thin. Still would really love to be within the ideal, and recognizing that is a balancing act in and of itself, and loving your body for just being your body feels to me like a radical act at the moment. Because of the way people will respond to that.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm curious to explore, but I'm very cognizant of the ways in which I too, am a member, a card-carrying member of the Matrix, and I'm like actively trying to push against it and making sure that the goal is like the healthiest I can be. But in this particular pursuit and project, wanting to show honestly the work that would have to happen, the potentially unhealthy work that has to happen for some people to achieve the look that they say that they want, and like being honest about that, whether that is an extreme caloric deficit, whether that is, I don't want to say abusing exercise, but using exercise as a tool to achieve a certain, thinness or surgery or, all these things. And I guess part of it is like, I want women to feel less gaslit, we're being told that what we need to look like and what we need to do to achieve it.
Well, I think it's just a goalpost that's going to continue moving, right? So like you get to that weight, to that aesthetic, to whatever. So then what? Then what happens? There's going to be another unattainable goal that you're going to be expected to chase after.
But this was great. Your insights are always so helpful, and you are already helping me change the lens with which I view this, because I think I have been very, very black and white, and especially at younger ages, very ruled by the scale and equating what the scale says to like how good I am doing health-wise. And though as I've gotten older, I've recognized that's not it, because I can see musculature and things like that where I'm just like, oh, this is not how I should be doing it. I still do find myself sometimes falling back into a thing that was like the standard way of operating for a very long time.
Absolutely. And that's so common. So you're not alone in thinking that. And we all still have our moments. So I think even just the like not giving ourselves a hard time when we do have those feelings of I don't like what I look like in the mirror, I don't like the number I see on the scale, like that's normal.
Mm-hmm.
But just understanding how to overcome and not get stuck in those feelings.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you again. Always wonderful
You're
to
welcome.
talk. Session number 4. Here we are.
We made it.
We made it.
How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I feel like, and obviously I can see my own stats, so I still know that I'm not like hitting the mark every time, but I'm feeling a lot more understanding. I think I'm having a better understanding of like how I'm feeling, how my body's feeling, trying to be tuned into how my body feels and reacts. Like you saying, how do you feel in your workout after, depending on what you ate the day before, and really trying to be more cognizant of that than I have ever been. And so I feel like this week was more of me getting like the hang of that than before. And I definitely had a day, I don't know if it was this weekend or something, like I had stepped on the scale and was like, why I gotta weigh more? I'm throwing this whole thing away. Like I was like, I'm like, it's not working. It's not working. And I was like, Makita, it's one day. Like,
so I want to piggyback off of that.
Yeah.
With 2 things.
Yeah.
One, we're always looking for incremental improvement.
Yeah.
And not like in overall behavior, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if the behavior that we're trying to develop is to track information accurately, to me, it looks like you're doing overall a much better job of just tracking in general. Yeah. And that in itself is a win. Mm-hmm. And we want to make sure that we acknowledge those things along the way because, okay, yes, maybe you're still a little bit under eating, but now we're capturing all that data. So that we're going to acknowledge that as being, a step in the right direction. Would I like to see you eating more protein? Yes. And a little bit more calories overall. But I do like that we're getting a more complete picture of the things that are going on. But tying into that and what you were just saying about what you're doing isn't working. So the result that you see on the scale is of the behaviors, not just from this past week, but an accumulation of behaviors before that as well. Yeah. Right? So if before the past 7 days, we weren't tracking as accurately as we should have been, then if we are seeing a spike on the scale or something that looks anomalous, just taking into consideration, like, are my expectations of what I'm seeing on the scale in the mirror, however you want to quantify it, are those expectations in line with the effort that I've been putting in to the appropriate behaviors that will support my goals?
I think the thing that really helped me, and I mentioned it last time, was just really trying to be like, are you hungry or are you eating because it's the time of day that you eat? Yeah. And so that was helpful to me because I think earlier on I was just really trying to be like, okay, I have to get to this number. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't necessarily like hungry trying to get to that number. And being like, okay, when you are hungry, how are you having more protein? Like, how can you fit that into when you are hungry, as opposed to being like, well, you're this many grams away on protein, so I guess you need to eat more, even though you're not necessarily like that hungry or whatever. So I feel a lot more cognizant of the ways in which, like you were saying, even when, I still need to go get the protein shakes, but where I'm like, oh, I can have a protein shake and like help get myself there without necessarily needing to eat a whole other meal. Or if I'm not actually hungry, what does that mean? So I feel a little bit more aligned in that than I felt the first 2 weeks. Like, I think I was a little thrown by the number and like what I was trying to achieve and I'm like, oh, it's both, which you were saying, but I wasn't, hadn't infiltrated the dome yet.
And that's totally normal. Like, I might have to say it a few different ways until it becomes like, until it resonates with you. Mm-hmm. Because, we're inundated with all that information all the time, but it has to be at that perfect moment where it like kind of seeps in and then you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I think that's where we're getting to this
Yeah.
week with everything. So that felt good. I was like, okay, I think I have a better grasp on this.
And in terms of your training sessions, how are they feeling? Are you, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like, are you able to push harder? How are you doing in the gym space?
Good. Like both lifts were great. Lifted pretty heavy with Sam on Tuesday, and then I'll see her again tomorrow. And then I did a lift last Saturday. Like I'm doing, it's kind of ending up being like Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, or like the lifts. And did my long run yesterday, and that felt great. Like
awesome.
Yeah.
So, and I know we're nutrition, but just veering off into the training lane a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say lifting heavy, like what kind of weight are you moving and in what movements?
We did deadlifts that were at like 135.
Okay.
Which I haven't lifted in a long time. Just because they hadn't been on the list of things to do. Mm-hmm. So, we're doing some movements that I haven't done in a while, like that I haven't put in the into sets for a long time. So I was like, oh, I can still lift this much. Good to know. And then
what were the rep ranges that you were working it within?
We were doing 4 sets of 8. And she has me doing like supersets. So,
deadlifts and what else?
It was I could tell you. Hold on, I have it. It was a single arm cable row, barbell deadlift, inverted row on the bar, and then the second set. Wait, there was she added to that. I feel like I was doing also had to do butterflies, and then the next set had the step ups, weighted step ups, single arm shoulder press, barbell high pull, and then bench plank row with weight, like 30 pound, 25 and 30 pound row.
Okay, cool. And my leading question then is, do you feel like what stopped you from maybe going a little bit heavier, because heavy is relative, on something like a deadlift, was due to like maybe you weren't confident in doing it without a trainer with you, or you felt like you didn't have the strength for it? Like, what do you think was the reason why you maybe stepped away from them for a little bit of time?
I think it was a little bit of both. It literally hadn't been in my workout in a long time. So it's not something I had done recently. So I think I'd done I'm trying to think what the deadlift was that I had at one point. At one point there was I had to do 4 sets of 8, but the weight wasn't supposed to be heavy, because it was back to back. I would take 30 seconds in between each set of 8. So I think at that point,
30 seconds between each set of 8, each of those 4 movements, or each set of 8?
No, it was 8 deadlifts, 30 seconds in between each 8 deadlifts. So 32 deadlifts total with these 30-second breaks.
Okay. And how did you feel during those?
I felt fine during those, but those were also lighter. So I hadn't lifted a 100+ deadlift probably in I don't know, 6 months to a year. I just hadn't done it. So not so much that I thought, oh, I can't do it, but I'm I haven't done it. So if I'm going to get back into it, I would prefer if someone else was here with me doing it. So yeah, it wasn't I don't think I'm necessarily strong enough. I don't know if that was the mindset, but it's just this is something that has not been on your list of things to do. And if it is going to be on the list, I'm going to start much lighter than 135.
Things there, and this does relate back to nutrition and body composition.
Yeah.
So having sets, so with Sam, you were doing the 30-second rest, or that was on your program before?
That was my program before. So I'm saying that's the heaviest I had gone in a long time on my program before. And it was really lighter.
And with that style of training, yes. So like that style of training is going to create a very different adaptation, not only in your tissues, but metabolically. You're training just a different stimulus than max strength. And max strength is what's going to help you put on muscle mass, which then in turn gives us the toned look that I think a lot of women aspire to. There, you're going to leave a lot of strength gains on the table, and your ability to grow that muscle that you want to be able to see in a toned body can truly only happen strength training heavy, and heavy is relative.
Yeah.
But just having an understanding of the type of training that you need to do in order to achieve a certain physique. And it's usually not 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, really aerobic based weight training with quote unquote lighter loads as opposed to heavier loads for fewer reps where you need recovery in between those sets. That's not to say that you can't enjoy those things like a class or something like that, but just understanding the adaptation that you might want is going to live on the weight room floor and maybe not in a moderate to higher intensity weightlifting class that's more cardio focused.
No, it totally makes sense.
I think just helping women especially to understand not to fear heavy weights. And like, I hate to just toss around the term bulky because it can be a little bit triggering, but there is that quote unquote concern, right? And understanding that to truly become bulky lives more in a caloric surplus than it does in lifting heavy. Like you would be much more likely to achieve a bulky physique if you were consuming more than your body was expending, as opposed to integrating heavy lifting into an exercise routine where maybe you weren't doing that before.
Okay, so you're saying that's like, so it's more on caloric intake than it is on the weights itself.
Correct. Yes, correct. And I think maybe we can also shed some light on the, I haven't heard this recently, so maybe it's not as prevalent anymore, but now that I'm mentioning it, maybe more people will hear it and start to say it, but the whole muscle weighs less than fat. Or like,
or muscle weighs more than fat.
Or muscle weighs more than fat. Muscle takes up less space than fat. Like a fat molecule and a muscular tissue molecule, like one is much smaller than the other. So it's not necessarily that, So I think that's where we also get a little bit of conflation, is that on a more toned looking body, it's probably going to weigh more than you think it does because of the muscle mass. Whereas if you had someone who maybe had a little higher body fat percentage, and that's where body comp kind of comes into play in terms of you can weigh the same but look very, very different. Like I said, data looks like we're capturing a lot more data than we were. I would say, so you have still not acquired any sort of ready protein shake, correct?
No, sorry. I've not been to Costco.
Okay. So to me, just the isolation of that behavior is almost avoidant, but not really, right? Because Costco is not the only place where you can acquire those.
Oh, I thought it was only at Costco.
No. But knowing that those are the shakes you need, you could have crowdsourced that information. Could have Googled it. I don't love Amazon, but you could have checked on Amazon to see if those are available. So or even like if you're at Safeway or something, if you see them on the shelf, like maybe you only commit to buying one instead of buying a whole case. And then if you don't like them, you're stuck with a case of them.
Yeah.
So I think understanding that sometimes we have self-imposed hurdles that we feel like we need to jump over in order to accomplish a fairly seemingly simple task, right? So we want to remove those barriers. Even like the next time you're getting gas, they probably have them at the gas station that you're at in the convenience store, 7-Eleven. But there are other places that you can go to at least try it, right? If you try it and don't like it, like let's come up with a new strategy, but to just kind of leave it dangling out there almost gives us that excuse. Oh, well, I couldn't hit my protein this week because I couldn't find the protein shakes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, why couldn't you find the protein shakes? Oh, well, I couldn't make it to Costco. It's like, okay, is Costco the only place that you can acquire those shakes? And who knows, like maybe you see one that's not the ones that I mentioned, but you try it and you like it, then get that one instead. It doesn't also have to be what I'm recommending.
Okay.
Because I like something doesn't mean you're going to like it too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just when you see like a ready-made protein shake, like a shelf-stable ready-made protein shake, because one, you know, that's going to be a good option for you to have on the go and that you can carry around with you very easily, that will help you get to your protein goals. Then we want to be able to remove that friction, that internal friction between us and accomplishing that task.
Yeah, for sure. And everything else you're like cool with?
Yeah, I think getting the protein shakes, bumping up the protein a little bit and seeing how that makes you feel. And then just going from there.
Cool. Okay.
How were your steps this week too?
How are my steps? Well, I walked before this. I walked.
So like on your health app, like where were your steps averaging this week?
Oh, I have no clue. Also, part of the thing is that when I exercise, this is not like I don't have an Apple Watch or anything. So, but let's see. What's it say? I feel like I won't say anything different than last week.
Because I think we talked about getting more like movement throughout the day, more intentional movement throughout the day.
I'm up by 1,000 steps on average.
Okay, great.
Don't know how.
Consciously, but I think if you were to make a conscious effort to maybe that like around 4,000, is that where you were kind of sitting at, or 3,000?
Now I'm at 43, like sitting around 4,300. See
if you can even out at 5. Okay. That'll be a true like kind of pretty much like about a mile in increased movement throughout the day. And then see also how that influences the scale.
Our topic today is discipline and paralysis by analysis.
So the reason why I mentioned the internal friction thing is this is something that I saw in one of my friends' stories, because where else do we get information from now other than on social media? But it was something along the lines of, it's not discipline that you need, it's the removal of that internal friction, which I kind of thought was a good segue from the protein shake talk into this, right? Like you might feel like you seemingly have these barriers that you're throwing up that prevent you from accomplishing a task. And whether it's something that seems fairly simple, like buying a protein shake, or going to the gym, prepping your food, those sorts of things too, like, oh, I didn't go grocery shopping and it's late and I'm tired, so it's easier for me to just do X, Y, or Z, go out, take out, you know, eat whatever's available and not stick with a plan if you have a plan. So I think that paralysis by analysis, that need to make things perfect, really not only stops a lot of people from getting started, but it trips them up once they get going. Because that's the problem with the plan, right? Is you want the perfect plan. Like you've engineered this thing and it's going to go this way, and then when it doesn't, how can you deal with that? Like, how can you move past it? And I talked about this actually on that same Donovan's podcast, like this show that I used to watch called Leverage. This is going to be.
I love Leverage.
Okay, that is even better because he had not seen the show. I'm glad you've seen it. So we're talking original Leverage with what's his name? Timothy Hutton, is that his name? So Hardison. It's the episode. I get really granular with you on this because you've seen it. So he's talking to Hardison. It's the episode where Hardison is running the heist, the jewel heist with the.
Oh, and he's making it overly complicated.
Exactly. Yeah. And he's like, Nate tells him, God, I love that I can just like, don't have to give you any context for this. Nate tells him, I don't bet on plan A working. Yeah. I bet on plan M, the quick, dirty, like, you need to have contingencies because your perfect plan A is probably not going to pan out. And I think that is a beautiful example of how you need to approach your nutrition and training. Is like, the perfect plan is great, but you need to be able to pivot if you need to.
Mm-hmm.
and be okay with maybe not doing executing what the perfect plan is. Whatever the next best decision you can make it, be unemotional about it, and then just keep moving forwards.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And I definitely see I'm a pretty disciplined person generally because I'm very type A. And so I think it's for me is more so wrapping my mind around a new um a new framework
Yes.
is the thing.
And
And
that
yeah.
can be really, really difficult because there's such an emotional component to exercise as well in training, but
Mm-hmm.
to people's connection to food and how food can be a comfort, or maybe food insecurity. They grew up with food insecurity and
Mm-hmm.
how that affects their decision making.
Yeah. And I will also say, like, I think part of it is it almost I could see it also being a difficulty because you're feeling like you're dealing with a lot of different variables at the same
Mhm.
time, right? Where it's like, okay, these are the goals that I have here, but here's how my body's reacting to this. Does my body like it, not like it? Plus what my brain thinks I should or shouldn't be doing. Like this kind of all of these things coming together. And but like I said, for me, it's been like very trying to be much, and I find myself to be pretty in tune with my body a lot of the times how I'm feeling, but really making a concerted effort. I think, especially with the like, I just keep thinking of you being like, when you're hungry. And I'm like, right, when I'm hungry. Am
Well,
I?
I think going back to what you said earlier in the call, the I don't see it working, so it must not be working, so I want to throw in the towel. That's just another facet of
Yeah.
the paralysis by analysis. Like, if it's not perfect, then it's not worth doing. And then I get a case of the fuckets, and then it's starting over from square one again. So it's learning not to go off the rails
Mm-hmm.
at the first, like, small inconvenience.
Yeah. Or that, things take time, right? Which
Yeah.
is, it's not going to happen in a week or 2 weeks or whatever. So I think I had that moment where I was just like, if it's not working today, it must not be. And I was like, that's not true. That's not true. Like,
But it's easy to sell ourselves on that narrative,
yeah.
right? Like, we want that, like, black and white. Like, I want to know that I'm going to have this result in this amount of days, and then if it doesn't, then it's not working, and then I need to try something else. And it's like, well, no, it's more nuanced than that.
Yeah, but also I think playing into the fact that we're kind of sold a tale of discipline, like if you're
Yeah.
not that disciplined, that's why this thing isn't happening, and you didn't have the cayenne lemonade for 5 days. You only did 3, and that's why.
Yeah.
That's why you didn't drop 10 pounds in a week.
Yeah.
Silly. So I think that's also kind of what we're fed is like all of this stuff is due to a lack of discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And the most disciplined people are the ones who end up, on top without having conversations about help and genes and all of those things. So I'm like, I think any of us could probably accomplish some stuff if we had, like a chef and our trainer and time, like all those things that we don't bring into the conversation. If someone was doing your grocery shopping, right? If I
Well,
would been
and, like, this discipline in and of itself is also, like, a little bit intangible too, because, like,
Mhm.
what defines good discipline for you? Like, what does that look like? There's no clear, like, instructional manual for that. Like,
Yeah.
and to your point, like, discipline for someone can look very easy if everyone is doing things for them and if they have
Mhm.
help. But discipline is going to look differently on someone else who's working 2 jobs and maybe has kids and, has to deal with a lot of other work and familial stress. Making things appear just out of reach by claiming it's just discipline, to your overarching theme, is like part of the matrix, right? That's what keeps you in the wheel. Is
Yeah.
it's the thing that's constantly out of your reach. So you'll keep trying whatever the new fad diet is, or the new supplement, or whatever happens to be the grift of the week.
Yeah. I don't know the last time I thought about the Atkins diet or the South Beach diet, but both came to rushing to my mind.
Well, that's been rebranded as the carnivore diet.
Diet. Oh my gosh.
Like there's no new health and fitness ideas. It's just very clever rebranding.
Yes. Yeah, this is great. Is there anything that you I'm gonna get my multiple shakes so I can see which one I like, so I can tell you which one I like. And I'm going to increase my movement to try to get to 5,000 steps a day. Is there anything else you need from me before we meet next?
You want small incremental changes that you are able to accomplish. So I think that is perfect.
Yay. All right. Well, great talking to you. Thanks so much.